Tavares, right in the butt?
What?
No.
Less than a minute now.
Tool time for 200.
This term for a long-handled gardening tool can also mean an immoral pleasure seeker. Ken?
What's a hoe?
No.
Spell garbage.
Garbitch.
What's going on, everybody? It's Monk Dan. I'm finally back. This is my stream, first stream after being on the road traveling. Wow. I got to get the kinks out, man. It has been crazy trying to get everything situated, get back into the groove of all of this, man. But man, I'm thankful to be back. My travels, I'm safe. I'm back home in northern Wyoming. I'm okay. Everything's all right. Man, happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day to you. No better way to start this stream off than today with this great topic. Are you ready for war? Ready for war? Are you really ready for war, yo? Yo, this topic has been on my mind. So when I was on the road, if you didn't know, man, I was traveling, man. I was in Montana, Idaho, the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, and fucking Washington, man. Man, it was a great journey. But this topic was on my mind, man, and it's so crazy that Independence Day fell right in the midst of all of this. So I was like, damn, man, I've been at war, or war has been declared on me, if you will. What the fuck am I talking about? So in the midst of all of this craziness that we have going on, man, I'm like, yo, war has just been implemented on my personal life, and I'm sure it's been implemented on your life. What the fuck am I talking about, right? I mean, the hostile acts that have been placed upon my life. I'll just use myself as an example, and I'm sure you are affected as well. What the fuck do I mean? What I'm talking about? Well, we got so much stuff happening right now. Right now we have AI taking over the jobs that we have. What does that leave me or many individuals unemployed? I take that as an act of aggression, an act of war, if you will. We have these situations where individuals, I'll just look at it from a broad perspective. We have this idea of capitalism in our country, and you have people who are willing to take money over your livelihood, my livelihood. I take that as an act of war, right? I have my own government that's choosing to take my health care, my veteran health care away. I take that as an act of war. All right. Anyway, man, I thought this was a really good topic, man, because of the holiday, Independence Day, man. First of all, do you even celebrate the Independence Day? Do you even know what that means? Does that have any symbolic memories or value to you? You might hear some hot fireworks popping in the background, man. People are celebrating. Are you celebrating right now? Just a quick history. I'm not a historian. I'm just going about what I know from my public education, and we already know how public education is.
Trash!
Public education is
Trash!
I mean, I'm being straight up with you. So if I have a misinterpretation of what the history and the date and the symbolic moment, if I have any misunderstanding, please let me know. All right, just a quick view. Independence Day. So basically, you have the 13 colonies, way, way, way back in the day, 13 colonies, and we wanted our freedom from Britain, or Great Britain, Britain, please forgive me. And we didn't want to get taxed, and we wanted our freedom, right? So we fought. I believe there was 2 wars. The first one we got our independence from, and then they tried it again. They tried to square up on us again. They wanted a revenge, right? It didn't work for them, right? So we get our independence from the motherland, if you will. But here's the crazy thing that I'm like, yo, we did all of that to get away from the tyranny, if you will. We wanted to get away from the taxation. And lo and behold, this present day, our own government is taxing the shit out of us. Does that matter to you? For me, I take that as an act of war, yo. I'm like, that is insane that you're doing this to your own people. The 13 colonies, the people said, hey, we didn't want this type of ruling over our lives, and we want freedom. But then now, that same freedom that was granted, or that the freedom that we had to fight for, now here we are doing it to our own people. Man, I take that as an act of war, man. So I had to look up what war, just a simple definition of war is. And the definition of war didn't really match up to how my perception is. Take a look at this, man. I'm going to flip my screen, man, so we can take a look at this, y'all. This just it says war definition, just a simple definition of war, man. It says a state of armed conflict between different nations or states or different groups within a nation or state. As a verb, it means engage in a war. Small states warred against each other. I don't know, man. From that definition, man, it's making it as state versus state or nations versus nations. But I'm like, yo, you've declared war. My own government has declared war on me, man. My own government. That's how I'm taking this. That's what, when I was on my travels, that's how I was thinking. I'm like, man, like, it's crazy. It's so hostile towards me. And I am a citizen of this government, man. And I was like, what the fuck do I do, man? I still haven't been able to work, man. My job has, quote unquote, put me on the boards. But I already know, man. I already know the reality of our economy. Our economy is trash. If you didn't know, I do blue collar work. I'm a railroader. And supplies are not just being, I mean, it's not here, bro. The things that we use to get by means of way of railroads, man, cars, food, so on and so forth, man, it's not booming, man. It's not booming, man. And so you have these hostile acts between the United States putting tariffs on everybody and shit. Bro, it's affecting me, man. And I know it's affecting you. How do I know this? Bro, I'm a single man. No wife, no kids, no girlfriend. I'm living the free agent lifestyle, right? I go to the grocery store yesterday because I got back in town yesterday and I needed groceries. I hadn't shopped in damn near maybe a week, right? I go to the grocery store and I just pick up a few items. Not a lot of items, just a few items. You know, just something to eat. A bag of 2 bags of vegetables, just small stuff, man. I'm a single guy. I don't need a lot of food, right? Bro, my food was like 80 something bucks. And I only had a few bags, bro. I had like maybe a few bags of vegetables, the ground meat that's in the package. Just small stuff like that, bro. And my bill came out 80 something bucks. So can you imagine motherfuckers with big families and so on and so forth? I'm like, bro, that's an act of war on me, man. on my livelihood, bro. I have not had a paycheck in maybe over 2 months now. Over 2 months, I have not had a paycheck. I take that as an act of violence towards me, man. So I'm like, what the fuck, man? So check it. I was in fucking Butte, Montana, yo. Shout out to Butte, Montana. I love y'all, man. I love that city. I still don't know why I love that city, but it's an amazing city. I love it, man. I've been there. Shit, I've been so involved in that city than my own city in northern Wyoming. I've been to more cities in Montana than northern Wyoming, bro. I've been to Montana's capital. Then, and I still have not just been to my own state capital here in Wyoming. That's crazy, man. But anyway, I love Butte, Montana. But anyway, I was in Butte, Montana, and I was looking for some bookmarks, man, because I do my streams about books and philosophy, and I'm always using my goddamn pen my highlighter to hold my goddamn page. And I was like, yo, I went to the Walmart out there, and I was like, yo, I need some goddamn bookmarks, man, because I'm tired of my pages folding up and shit. Anyway, and I couldn't find it, so I found these in Walmart. Nice little gold bookmarks. I thought they was pretty cool, different. But anyway, so I'm in the book section, and then I came across The Art of War and Other Classics of Eastern Philosophy. Man, I was like, yo, I gotta buy it. I gotta buy this, yo. I gotta buy it, man. Because it was so crazy that I was thinking about how the act of war is imminent, man. It's here, bro. It's here, man. I mean, you got craziness happening. You got wars in other countries. You still got the Russia and Ukraine situation. You got, China, bro. China is moving. They're booming. They're thriving, bro. They are a superpower. And here we are, man. I don't know about you, but bro, I'm just in a loss of words with how my country is treating me and how everything is playing out, man. But anyway, I got this book. I said, yo, I gotta read something about how to fight in this midst of a war, man. I told you in my previous streams, the AI, the godfather of AI, he was like, yeah, blue collar work is the answer. And I made a stream of saying, hell no, blue collar work ain't the answer. And I gave my evidence. Holler back at me and let me know what you think about that. I don't think blue collar is the answer. I'm doing blue collar. Well, I'm supposedly supposed to be doing blue collar, and I still have not gotten a paycheck, man. Man, you know what?
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
So anyway, man, I'll just continue, man. So check it out. I'm gonna do some discussions about the art of war, and I'm gonna do the introduction, chapter 1, and some of chapter 2. So far, it's been a really good read. The introduction is basically giving the background of what we're about to read. It's giving an introduction. So I'm not sure about your art of war, because I looked and I saw that some of the textbooks, it said it didn't really include the other classics of Eastern philosophy. It didn't include that, but mine does. So I'm not sure if that's how all of them are or if it's just mine. I have no idea. But anyway, so this textbook is going to talk about Confucius, and I'll talk about Confucius in just a second, and it's going to talk about the life and teachings of Mencius. It's also going to talk about the life and teachings of Lao Tzu. Please forgive me about my pronunciations of these names. Sun Tzu. I looked it up. It's not Sun, but it's Sun Tzu, and the Art of War. All right, let's get into it. So first and foremost, Confucius, what I just learned. I learned that Confucius, his name is not Confucius. It's Please forgive me. It's called. His name is Confucius. Confucius, something like that. Please, I'm trying, man. Kung Fu Tzu, something like that, something of that sort, but it's not Confucius. How did they get the name Confucius? The name Confucius is a Latinization of his Chinese name, most probably by the 16th century Jesuit, I believe that's how you say that, missionary Matteo Ricci, I think that's how you pronounce that. So it says that at the time of his birth, China was experiencing the spring and autumn period of the Great Zhou Empire, and basically it was saying that they were in chaos. Basically, it says a time of disorder following the collapse of central authority. So they're in a very critical moment of their civilization. Let me make sure I got my everything is still on. Of no central authority, so there's pretty much chaos. Rulers fought among themselves, and the common people suffered, caught between civil war, heavy taxation. There goes that taxation again, and bandits. So here comes along Confucius, and you have his philosophy, if you will, in this time of turmoil for the country. I just want to read one thing. One thing that I found was pretty awesome about Confucius. It says for centuries, the Confucian exam system was the means to upward mobility in imperial China. So this dude had a lot of influence in this country, man. Passing the test and acquired status and salary required mastering a canon of books and being able to reiterate their ideas in such forms as the 8-legged essay. So, man, this guy here, man, I mean, his philosophy was powerful, man, for their country, especially in their time of their turmoil. One thing that I also highlighted, it says, if one wants to understand Chinese culture and thought, and thus understand a rising power in our modern world, then these texts must likewise be understood. They contain values, strategies, and ways of reasoning. They are the DNA of a culture. To know the future, we must understand the past. I was like, damn, that's crazy. These teachings can help me understand the Chinese culture and thought. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Now, here's something. Let me ask you something. What is our DNA? Here in the United States, what is our DNA? If someone wanted to study our culture, where would they go to? We have museums, but what would be a text of philosophies? What would be ours? I thought about that. I was like, damn, do we have something like that for our country where if you were from another country and you wanted to understand the philosophy and the culture of our country, where would you go to? What text will we go to? I don't think we have that. I think that is sad. If I am correct and we do not have that, that is a threat. That is a weakening of our country, that we don't have anything or DNA, something that someone can say, hey, this is something you can grasp to deeply understand our culture. I don't know, man. That's sad, brother. It says the first thing that we must do to rid ourselves of Western ideas about the nature of this thought system, Confucianism and Taoism are not religions in the way that are understood in the West. So I was like, damn, do I look at Confucianism Confucianism as a religion? I don't know if I looked at it as a religion. Until now I realize that it's a philosophy, but I really didn't know. I heard the name, but I really didn't know much about Confucius. So my first degree, I got it from Texas Southern University. As I graduated in May of 2014. I believe they were implementing a Confucius program, Chinese program, in their language department, I believe it was. I can't remember. It's been 11 years. Yeah, that's 2014. Yeah, it's been 11 years since I had been on the campus and just, yeah. Anyway, so I don't know if they still have that program, but then I heard some negative things, not about the program, but I was hearing that these programs were, I don't want to say camps, but there was a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Intrusion, if we will. There was the spying. There was some spying involved. I can't remember. Please don't forgive quote me on this. I'm just trying to go off my memory. I think there was some sort of spying involved with the Chinese government in these programs. I don't know how accurate that is. I would have to do more research, and if you want me to do some research on that, I can. But I think it was something of that nature, and I don't know if the program is still there. So that could be it. I have no idea. But yeah, man. They talk about a few other things during this time when Confucius was becoming one and developing his philosophy within the society. It says at the time there was no emperor. Rather, the region that would become China was composed of petty states, each ruled by its own king. In some ways, it was comparable to the disorder of the European Middle Ages that followed the collapse of the Roman Empire. That's pretty deep, man. Wow. They were going through it, man. Let me go to some more things that about Confucius that I highlighted it. It says that we can perhaps gain a truer picture by looking at the gist of what Confucius says. First, he was strongly conservative in his outlook and admired the virtues of the Zhou or Zhu. It's Zhou. I did not have time to look that word up. It was so many words and things I wanted to look up, and I did look up, and I was, man, okay. And there's just so much. But yes, that is the word. So he was they're saying that he was strongly conservative. So I don't know if that was beneficial. I have no idea. But it worked because his philosophy lives on, if you will. His governing philosophy placed great emphasis on hierarchy, morality, and proper relations. Okay, so he put emphasis on hierarchy. I can understand that. That's something I can understand because there's hierarchy. If you had a job, there's hierarchy. If you, there's ranks, if you will. There's ranks. If you're in the military, there's hierarchy. In the manhood society, if you would say, there's always an alpha dog, if you will, and so on and so forth. So I can understand the hierarchy there. But morality, that part right there I was like, So morality is something that I studied philosophy, moral philosophy in college. And that was a subject I just didn't connect with it, but I did well in the class. I got an A, but I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about any of the moral philosophers. I can't remember much of it. I graduated with my philosophy degree from the University of Houston downtown, May of 2019. And man, I'm so thankful for that degree. But moral philosophy, man, I don't sit well with moral philosophy or the moral concept or moral ideas because everyone's moral concept or moral spectrum is not the same, right? Some people get their morals from religion. Okay, that's your religion, so you can't, how dare you try to implement your moral religion on my personal life? It's like, bro, whose spectrum of morality do we operate under? Here in the United States, you have a lot of religions, you have a lot of groups, you have so much, you got all these things. And I'm like, whose moral perspective of it? Here's another aspect of morality. I look at morality as a tool used by those who have created it or those who are or in power, they use that as a tool to control less individuals or lesser than, if you will, people that are, what's the word? People who are, I don't want to say less than because that sounds very harsh. But if you're lower on the totem pole, if you will, then those that are above use those moral compasses as tools to control. If that makes any sense. And then it says proper relations. I didn't really understand proper relations. I didn't get that part. The linchpins of these are ye, ethics, and li, or religious rituals. So here we go with the ethics and religious rituals. I'm not a part of your religion. Where do you get your ethics from? You know, like who's to say whose ethics is wrong? You got some people who cut corners. What's the saying I've heard? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. You know, so where's those ethics? So the more morals and ethics, man, those things are very tricky, man. And then religion, you throw religion in there. You know, it's like, come on, man. In contrast to the disorder of his own day, Confucius believed that everyone on the social ladder must behave properly and dutifully to those above them and those below them. Now that part, I was like, okay, so Confucius believed everyone on the social ladder, okay, we do have a social ladder, okay, must behave, everyone on the social ladder, and I'm assuming that's everybody, must behave properly, okay, what's proper? I don't know, and I'm trying to look at it from as many perspectives because I'm not in the Chinese culture and I don't understand their thought process. But I'm also trying to use this for my personal life and how to operate in my society, I guess you could say. So I don't know how to look at that because you can say, I was told this. I was told that, okay, so people who used to ride airplanes. Oh, how about this? Sporting events. I was told that back in the day, you know, when people used to go to sporting events, they used to wear suits and everything like that. But that was their social perspective, if you will. That was how they properly operated within their social climates. Now we wear t-shirts, you know, we're relaxed. So it's like, okay, how is it socially or is it properly? Is it based on the social climate, if you will, at the time? I don't know. It was kind of bland, or not bland, but kind of broad. I didn't really understand it. And dutifully to those above them. Now that I was like, okay. Now we're starting to get a little uncomfortable. Now I must perform dutifully to those above me and below me. So here I'm like, okay, are we saying that it's my duty to act properly to those? Are we saying to respect those above and below me? Are we saying respect? I mean, but it says duty or dutifully. Duty is like let's look at the word duty, man. I got time. I'm gonna try to do less than an hour. We got time. Duty, I'm thinking duty because, like, if you're in a marriage, let's use marriage as an example. A marriage, it is a wife's duty to adhere to her husband, right? That's her duty, man. I mean, shit, that's your job, bitch. Right? I mean, damn, you have a man that's providing for your ass. He's protecting your ass. You want him to pay all the bills. He's doing all of this. What you gonna give? What are you gonna give him in return? Shit, that's your duty. Let me just look up the word duty, man. Duty. Oh, here we go with this fucking word moral, man. Oh, man, that word moral, man. Let's take a look at it. All right. Duty, a moral or legal obligation, a responsibility. a task or an action that someone is required to perform. Ooh, okay. That's tough right there, man. That's tough. Okay, so now you're saying it's my responsibility to, I guess, to act properly for those above and below me. But what's the duty? It's my responsibility. It's legal. It's moral. What are we doing? Because I'm looking at if that might be a tough task here in the United States. It's my responsibility. I mean, shit, because you got the motherfuckers above me. They don't give a fuck nothing about me. I just used the example of the capitalist society. How about this? I'll give you an example, man. So I live in northern Wyoming, right? Oh, my battery's starting to get low, so I'm definitely got to speed this up. I live in northern Wyoming, right? And this is my first event in my city that I've actually attended. My very first event, just being at something at the city. And I went to a zoning and planning meeting, right? Why am I saying all this? Because we were talking about the duty of people below and above us, right? What about the people that are next to us? If we're on the same plane, what is the level of duty there, right? So this is this event, right? I mean, not an event, this situation where these individuals, they worked hard to get where they are. And here in Wyoming, we are not a heavy populated state, and especially in this city that I live in, maybe a little over 20,000, maybe. But anyway, you got some individuals who are spread out, and they got these large amounts of acres. I believe they were saying like 80 acres, 100 acres. It was up there, right? And so you got these families that's living out, right? And they were saying, hey, they wanted to be far away, but they want to have enough land to, have their cows, horses, whatever, the agricultural, right? And so they were saying during a time of COVID, you have these wealthy people, which I'm assuming that they are above them, right? The wealthy, because they kept saying wealthy. These wealthy individuals came from, I think they said Maryland. And these wealthy people came in during COVID in their area, and they bought up all this land, right? And from my understanding, the city here, they made this, I don't want to say ordinance, but I don't know if it was a law or not, but there was some sort of understanding. Let me say it that way. There was an understanding that the land that they had, the individuals out there, they purchased all this land, that this land was for those individuals who wanted their space away from people, if you will. It was agricultural. This land is for agricultural purposes. You have all this land, right? So then you got these rich folks come in from wherever, right? And they buy this land. And so the residents in that area, they were like, yo, these people didn't buy this land to stay. They were trying to buy it to make a profit. So the house didn't sell. And so the house didn't sell. So what they did was, let's say it was 100 acres. So they divided it I think it was maybe 80 acres. Anyway, it was a large amount. So they divided it and put another house on the land, right? And so that's causing the neighboring neighbors all this grief, because now it's affecting their water supply, because they have wells and stuff out there. And then they were saying the fencing was bad. They're affecting these people's space, if you will, of not wanting a subdivision, because they were saying, yo, what these people are going to do is they're going to keep dividing the land up, which is going to make it more populated in the area, and it's going to cause more people to want to divide land and everything. And then here you go, they're going to have a subdivision of people. And they were like, yo, this is going to cost. They were laying it out. They were like, yo, this is costing already. They were just laying it all out. But I'm saying all that to say is, in that example, those wealthy people did not give a damn about the people below. They had that capitalist mindset. I'm only doing this shit for profit. I only want the fucking money. So how in the world can we use as this example? I'm not saying Confucius is wrong, and I'm not saying that Chinese culture is wrong. I don't know about the Chinese culture, but I'm just kind of reading and trying to understand the philosophy and apply it to as much as I can to my life, to better my life for wisdom. Once again, I like this channel. I created this channel to seek and share wisdom. So if we were to say this duty, this responsibility, who's to govern the responsibility? Who's to say, where's the check and balances of this responsibility? Hey, you're not being dutiful to me, or this person is not being dutiful to the next person. Who's to say these standards, bro? That's a good example. You have these wealthy people. They didn't give a fuck about none of it. They didn't give a fuck. If we can be honest, those wealthy people didn't give no fucks about the people in that area. They're looking at it from a profit mindset. Hey, fuck it. I couldn't sell this big ass house, but how about I break the land in half and I build another house over here and it's smaller. I can sell that shit out over there. And the people, the rich people, like, they don't give a fuck, and it's affecting the smaller people. And I don't want to say smaller, but the individuals who already live in that area. They were saying, yo, our water supply, our water pressure has dropped. One guy was like, yo, my shit is bad. He was like, yo, I think he said he was at the top of the hill or some shit like that. But he was like, my shit is bad already. He was like, damn, like, you know, he kept it sweet. He sweet and simple. He was like, my water supply was at this level. He was like, now it's at this level. Hey, if you keep doing this shit, I probably won't have no fucking water. I was like, damn, man. And they were talking about the roading and shit. And he was like, that's going to cost the city. And then I was like, it's not going to cost the city. What the city is going to do is push that shit right back on y'all. So y'all will be paying for all of this shit. I was like, damn, man. But I said all that to say, man, I'm trying to keep it short. But yeah, that was something that I highlighted because I was like, who's to say who's keeping the responsibility? Who's the responsibility? Who's to check the responsibility? Because you have those of means don't give a fuck about anybody below. Think about it. Let's be reasonable. The wealthy don't give a fuck about the poor. The wealthy only cares about the wealthy, right? You have the poor always wanting to be the rich, and you see it with poor individuals always buying shit that they can't afford, keeping up with the Joneses. So I don't know. That was something I struggled with. Let me read on. It says by rectification of names, and there's this name that I can't pronounce. He means that people's behavior should correspond to the social titles that they possess. Ooh, social titles. Ooh, I'm not even going to get too far into that. Confucius also knew the power of religion to unite people. I'm not a religious person, so I would have been excluded from that conversation. Religion doesn't unite me. This is my thought process. Religion controls people. If you want control, it gives them control. I'm just skipping to some of the highlighted parts. Right now, it says 25 minutes, so I'm going to keep going. The purpose of this is to bring oneself into harmony with the spiritual and natural world and cultivate virtue. That sounds plausible, I guess. Another part I highlighted was court rituals function to preserve harmony and keep the ruler in harmony with the universe, aligning the microcosm with the macrocosm. Divination, I believe that's how you pronounce that. I'm assuming that's like the divine. Astrological observation, music, etc. are all intended to reinforce this relationship. That's something I highlighted. Most of all, Confucius is deeply humanistic. I did look up that term. I forgot what it meant. Please forgive me. People are teachable and perfectible, and it falls upon all of us to improve one another. But everyone doesn't give a fuck, you know? So, I mean, let's just be honest. You know, everyone's intent is not to improve each other. What does they say? Crabs in a bucket mentality. In his teachings, Confucius emphasizes the cultivated junzi, which means the superior man or gentleman, who exercises humility and ren or loving kindness rather than inflicting corporal punishments. This word, malefactors, I believe that's how you pronounce it, should be encouraged toward goodness by positive examples. That sounds nice. That seems feasible. But how often will that be? I mean, we're dealing with humans. Next, let's say we talk about the life and teachings of Mencius. Mencius, that's another name here. I never before this. I never heard of Mencius, and this is something new. So in the future readings, I'll learn more about Mencius. Mencius, his real name is Mengzi. Mengzi. He was a follower of Confucius who lived about a century after the latter's death. Like Confucius' name, Mencius is a Latinization by 17th century Jesuits. I don't know much about Jesuits. The first time I came across that word was maybe 2018, and I was applying to some schools, and I saw that name, Jesuit. Jesuit. Please forgive me. Another part that I highlighted, it says, ultimately, he was disappointed. The rulers of his time failed to live up to his ideals, and he retired disappointed. So, yeah, I guess I'll give a little bit backtrack of this. It says, in Mencius, we can recognize the model of the Confucian as public servant. He served as a minister in the state of Qi, or Qi is Qi, and his works are not just philosophy, but contain practical ideas for administration on the morality of warfare. Then that's when they were saying that ultimately he was disappointed. So they didn't really take him or embrace. How about that? They didn't really embrace his philosophy or his ideas. So he was disappointed. Dang, buddy. For Mencius, there were 4 central virtues which guide behavior, perception, and feelings. These 4 are benevolence, righteousness, wisdom, and propriety. Propriety. Please forgive me. Propriety. There we go. Propriety. I didn't really fully understand that, but I highlighted it. So maybe that's something I can look into in the future when we come across more of his topics. The life and teachings of Lao Tzu. If Confucianism is the first intellectual pillar of Chinese culture, Taoism or Taoism is the second. Wow. Okay. So I heard of Confucius, but I never heard of Taoism or Taoism. And this is the second. They're saying this is the second pillar. And they also say the third pillar, Buddhism, but it doesn't. But they didn't talk about it. They said it does not enter here. So they're not going to talk about Buddhism. Now, I've heard of Buddhism. I don't know much about Buddhism. I've seen the statues, the bald head, big fat guy, and he's always smiling. I don't know if I'm assuming it's a religion. I have no idea. It could be a philosophy. I don't know. Your thoughts would be greatly appreciated if you share those with me. He was supposedly Lao Tzu was supposedly Confucius' elder, and the great sage supposedly consulted Lao Tzu on funeral rites. I highlighted that, but I didn't really understand that part. Let's see. Another part that I highlighted, like the records of Confucius' thoughts, the Tao Te Ching deals with how people are to behave. Ooh, how people are to behave. Those words, kind of strong, how people are to behave. Like Confucianism, Taoism emphasizes the essential unity and harmony of heaven and earth, the importance of rituals, and the importance of living a virtuous life. Okay. But one thing I noticed here when I read that, said the harmony of heaven and earth. It didn't mention anything about hell. I noticed that. It mentioned nothing about hell. Wow. Does hell exist in this culture or this philosophy? I don't know. Another part that I highlighted says to speak of the Tao is impossible. It can only be expressed through cryptic and metaphysical ideas. Ooh, okay. This is heavy shit right here. Man, one class that I loved in my philosophy class, metaphysics. That shit was heavy, yo. Let's see. The metaphysical ideas. Being arises from non-being. Being arises from non-being. Beauty from ugliness. A pot takes its use from its emptiness. That's heavy, yo. Desire is futile. Wow. One should empty oneself and live in accordance with nature. One should empty oneself and live in accordance with nature. Wow. Nature is brutal though. But we are living nature though. We are doing what nature has designed us to do. Only the endless flow of energy, one thing into another, is constant. That's powerful right there. Only the endless flow of energy, one thing into another, is constant. That's the only thing that's constant, man. That's what they say. The only endless flow of energy, one thing into another, is constant. Another part that I highlight, parts of this accession to natural cycle and living in harmony with the universe is accepting death. Ooh, excuse me. I did a stream about life and death. I just did one, man. And man almighty, my what I've come across is that life and death are the same. And I'll use this text in more context to describe what I'm trying to say. I'm believing that life and death are the same. They're synonymous. They're one. They're whole. And they're, as this line just said, only the endless flow of energy, one thing into another, is constant. They're constant. They're just flowing with each other. They're just flowing. They're just flowing, bro. Only the endless flow of energy, one thing into another. Right? One thing into another. Life flows into death. And then, as we say, death flows into life. When you have something dead, like let's keep it simple. Like when you plant plants, right? In order for a plant to grow, it needs fertilization, something that's dead. We used to, when I was a part of the University of Houston downtown garden club, we used to throw dead stuff in the fertilization, like orange peels, and we used to use some weird shit to make these plants grow. So when something dies, hell, we eat dead food. Animals, we eat dead food. The beef that we eat, that's dead. That dead, whatever that thing was that's dead that we consume, that's bringing us more life. That's bringing us life. It's weird, man. That's just how I'm thinking, man. It's a flow of energy, man. Flow of energy. And it's always constant. It's always constant. When something dies, something rises. When something rises, something dies. Oh, there was I forgot. There was I had a great example of that. It's like some sort of insect where their existence, they have a short term of existence, and they have to hurry up and pair up to mate. As soon as they mate, the one being dies, the male dies, the woman insect goes off to give birth, but eventually she's gonna die too. You can hear the fireworks. I don't know, man. That's something that I thought about. I'll continue. Before we are born, we do not exist. I was talking about that. I was literally saying, like, yo, I don't know. The reason why I combined the two in the first place, life and death, is because I was like, yo, I don't understand life and I don't understand death. And I was like, yo, though, they're the same. I gave more definitions in the past. So, I mean, if you want to check that stream out, please feel free to check it out. But here, this even furthers my thought process. Before we are born, we do not exist. And I was like, yo, are we saying that when I was a sperm in my dad's nutsack, I was like, Are we saying that I was alive, or are we saying I'm dead, non-existent? What are we saying, right? Because you have people that say, no, you give birth or give life at the time of conception. I was like, so at that time of conception, now you're saying that I started life, but what about before that? You saying that I'm a sperm in my dad's nutsack. What do you call that? Are you saying I'm not existing? Are you saying I'm dead? What the fuck are you saying? When we see you can pull it up on a microscope and you're showing me all these sperms and you're seeing them move. What are we saying? That's dead? Non-existent? What are we saying? I never understood that. But I'm like, are we saying that's dead or alive? What are we saying? What are we calling this? Because if we're saying that that sperm cell is alive, then that's life. That's living, right? I don't know, man. That's crazy. I don't know, man. But it says before we are born, we do not exist. So you're saying as a sperm, I did not exist. Let me know what you think about that. Why should we then fear the non-existence that follows death? Wow, that's powerful. Why should we then fear the non-existence that follows death? That's powerful, man. I was like, damn. Remember, I said that I'm starting to believe, for my personal philosophy, my wisdom as it grows, life and death are synonymous. They're intertwined. They're one. They're just flowing. They're flowing. There's a change point, if you will, when you're alive. Bam, there's a new cycle there. That cycle of death, if you will, and that's flowing. But here he says, why should we then fear the non-existence that follows death? Non-existence. When something is non-existence, it's void. It's not there. It's zeroed. It's nothing. That's mind blowing. So it's almost like he's kind of contradicting himself in a sense. Why should we then fear the non-existence that follows death? But here you said only the endless flow of energy in one thing into another is constant. I don't know. Maybe you can kind of give me some insights on that. In its worldview, the Tao Te Ching may be seen to fall equally into the Western categories of religion, philosophy, and mythology. Man, I would love to know more, man. That was the one I just did a stream on that. I was like, man, I really don't understand life or death. But what I have come to conclude is that they're one. They're synonymous, man. They're just what's the word? I don't want to say turning points. What did they use? Only the endless flow of energy, one thing into another. I mean, they're synonymous, man. They're intertwined, man. It's like yin and yang, as they say, or night and day. There's a turning point. Like when does day, is it the break of dawn that separates night and day? Right? Think about it, night and day. It's 2014 here in the mountains. So it's still daytime, but somewhere else on this planet it's dark. They're still synonymous. It's not like they're off on another planet somewhere. Think about that. Please think about that. Think about that. We're on this planet. I just said it's 2014. Now it's 2014 here in the mountains. It's still daytime out here. We're starting to get to dark. But somewhere else on this planet, it's dark. Dark and light, they're still synonymous. They're still on the same. I don't want people to get crazy. On the same plane. For those who like to say the ball. Hey man, science has not proven to me or given me some evidence to say that it's a ball or sphere, a globe. I just have not. So far the the conspiracy theorists. How do you say that? Those who doubt that it's a globe. I'm kind of leaning towards them, man. This shit is flat, man. I said all that to say, man, that's a great example of what I mean about death and life being synonymous. Life, it's light outside here, but it's dark over there. But how can you separate those two when we're still living on the same planet? We're living on the same planet. As they say, the dark side of the moon. It's still the moon. There's light on one side of the moon. There's dark on the other side of the moon, right? But it's still the one moon. Does that make any damn sense? That's how I look at life and death. And now, this is why I like that line. That's why I highlighted that. But then the one word that threw it off was the non-existence. He said, before we're born, we do not exist. That part, I'm like, I question that part. Then it says, why should we then fear the non-existence that follows death? That part, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, come on, man. The non-existence that follows death. But I'm like, bro, it's a cycle. I don't know. I gotta dive deep into that one, man. That's something I'm gonna have to play with and just kind of understand. But we have no clue about death. We have no fucking clue. We have nothing. We have nothing. We have no supporting evidence, no concrete evidence about death. That state, that flow. Because how we perceive death is that's it. It's non-existent. But I'm like, no, it's still synonymous with life. But we have no clue. That's why when I did my stream, I was like, I still have no clue about life. I have no idea. I'm existing. I have to question that. Only reason why I'm saying that I exist is because of Rene Descartes, the philosopher. Shout out to Rene Descartes. Man, if you don't know who he is, man, when you in your math class and they have that X and Y coordinate, he's considered to be the creator or the father of the Cartesian plane. That's his name, Descartes. Anyway, there's a saying that from his philosophy works. And I want to read more into it. But it says, I think, therefore I am. And I always use that because I'm like, well, since I'm thinking, I have some sort of consciousness about, hey, I am thinking, then therefore I am. I do exist. That's the only thing that I have, man. If I can be honest with you, that's the only fucking thing that I have. Other than that, I'm like, yo, it's days, plenty days. Then I'm like, damn, am I existing? Like, wow. Have you ever, like, when I was on my travels, right? Check this out. When I was driving from Idaho. I stayed overnight in Idaho Falls, and I was supposed to take I forgot what freeway that is. It's like a little loop because it kind of goes like a horseshoe, if you will, from Idaho Falls, and then kind of goes to the horseshoe all up to Boise. That's where I was supposed to stay. But anyway, there's a freeway. If you just keep going straight down, you'll hit Utah, and you'll eventually get to Salt Lake City. So I've traveled that path before. I told you I'm a railroader, and there was a point in time where I had to chase work, and I chased work all the way in Arizona, right? And I was headed to California too. Anyway, and I was close to Nevada, or getting close to I believe it's I forgot the city. Anyway. That route, I'm familiar with that route, but I was like, well, I won't, go straight. I already know how to do it, so I turned my GPS off, and I was like, it's just a horseshoe. And I think it's the 25, maybe the 15. Anyway, so I'm driving, and I'm just driving. I'm totally spaced out, and I was familiar with that route because I had previously did it. Not previous, but I had done it before chasing work. And I was just driving. I'm saying all that to say is that I end up going to Utah rather than taking that freeway up to goddamn Boise. But I was just existing. I was just there. I was just driving. just driving. I was like, damn, like, whoa, like, what the fuck? Where did I go? What happened? I just zoned out and just driving along, just driving. I was like, damn. Luckily, my hotel that I stayed in, well, I had booked for Boise. I was trying to cancel that reservation and have them switch it to Salt Lake because I was closer to Salt Lake, and it was like, no, we can't do it. Blah 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 blah. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. My trip extended 2 hours, so I drove all the way into Utah, and then I went back up, and then went back to Idaho, and then I made it to Boise. But anyway, I said all that to say is that I didn't know I was alive in terms of aware of, hey, I missed my exit, turn around. You know, I was just existing. I didn't have any. Where was the consciousness? Like, yo, you just missed your exit. I was just driving. Have you ever done that? You're just driving and you're like, damn, whoa, where the fuck, where was I? That's what I mean about living. Like, I don't understand it. I can see that my body is still existing, but what is the meaning of existing? What is the meaning of life? I don't know, bro. Anyway, I'm sorry I went off on that interesting thought process of mine. I'll go ahead and skip because right now it says I'm at 48 minutes, and then I'll go ahead and skip a bit of that and go, and then we'll just talk about the introduction. How about that? And then we'll talk about the chapters. We'll start chapters later. So now we're going to talk about Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu. It's not Sun. I try to have to pronounce Sun Tzu. Some things that I highlighted about him. Quite a few things that I did highlight. Sun Tzu, who first made the case that war is part of a political science, a discipline that may and must be studied and mastered. I definitely highlighted that. I was like, whoa, okay. Sun Tzu, who first made the case that war is part of political science. Wow. The last time that I can think of taking political science was, I did take a, was it political science philosophy? God damn it. It was so fucking long ago, man. But the political science, I'll just keep it straight political science. That was, man, many years ago, over 10 years ago that I took political science. And I really didn't understand it. I understood it at that time, but I'll have to revisit some political science, man, because if I'm going to understand war, which, like I said at the beginning of my stream, like I am under attack. Even though war is defined as political states, if you will, countries and nations and all that, I'm like, no, you're attacking me right now. My own government is attacking me. You're taxing me. You're doing these. No, I'm at war. So I'm like, okay, cool. So now I got to understand political science now. Now I'm going to have to revisit political science. And Sun Tzu said, who first made the case that war is part of political science, a discipline that may and must be studied and mastered. So I got to master that shit and have a deeper understanding. The art of war is the world's oldest military. I always forget this word. I'm going to just skip it because I don't want to make a fool of myself. Yet one of the one that remains relevant today, studied by generals, business leaders, sports coaches, and politicians as a general guide on strategy. So, excuse me 1 second. Let me take a little sip of water here. I'm going to try to keep the stream short. My battery is starting to run super low. I thought that was really amazing that that now that I'm considering this, I'm like, wow, this is something important because it's being studied by generals, business leaders, sports coaches, and politicians. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Furthermore, it is a work of moral philosophy. There goes that moral philosophy, dealing with the righteousness or wrongness of the decision to wage war. Okay, Okay, as well as the proper and moral way to conduct war, what we would call casus belli and jus in bello. One thing, there was a story, quick story that, about Sun Tzu, his character. There was I forgot the king's name, but there was a king who tested his character, and this is something I'm gonna have to, I guess, establish myself. The story goes like this: there was a king. I guess he wanted to. He wanted to hire Sun Tzu as a general, right? So the king says, "Okay, cool. I'm gonna give you my concubine, my harem, and I want you to control them, right?" And so Sun Tzu, he takes them, and it says they were. There was 180 of the king's harems, right? So what the Sun Tzu did was he divided them. He took half here, took half there, and he took the king's favorites of the two groups and made them like the leader of that group, right? And so Sun Tzu, he gave them directions on what he wanted them to do, and so the women, what they did was they just laughed. So he gave them an order, and he gave them instructions, and he gave the command, and then they laughed at him, right? And so Sun Tzu says, if they didn't understand the first time, he was like, it's my fault that they didn't understand. So he was like, I need to give them clear definitions so that they can understand, right? So then he says, all right, he gives them clear instructions that they understand what the instructions are and what is asked of them, right? So he gives them the command again. And then he says that the story goes that the groups, the harems, they did the same thing. They laughed at him. So he was saying, so now that I gave clear instructions and you didn't follow, you've just disobeyed me, right? And so what he did was he was saying that it wasn't a miscommunication on my part, the general's part. He's saying there's a miscommunication on the group leader's part. So what he did was he had those two women, the group leaders, killed them bitches, right? And I highlighted a special part. It said over the king's protest. So the king didn't want this shit. But I was like, hey, king, you gave him total authority over these concubines. You gave him the authority. And so he said, kill them bitches. And then the story says, when he did that shit, those bitches understood he meant business. And when he gave those commands again, they followed. There was no problem. I thought that was an awesome story, man. I guess I can end it there, man. I want to keep going. I'm going to keep going just a little bit. But I thought that was an awesome story, man, because as men in our society, when it comes to giving instructions, man, like we have to be clear and concise and make our points. And I hope I'm doing the same thing with my streams, and I can only get better, is give my clear instructions and make it concise and let it be. Now, but then again, I'm not here to make an authority. I'm not here to give instructions. I'm here to discuss and share wisdom. So that wouldn't really apply to my situation. But however, if you are a man and you're dealing with women in a sense, I'm not saying delete anybody. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that us guys, we have to be clear and concise, man, and give, say what we need to say, man, and get off the goddamn pit, if you will. Give instructions, if you will. There was a guy yesterday at the meeting I went to, the zoning meeting. He was very emotional when he was giving his plea. He was one of those residents that were being affected. Excuse me. He was being affected by those rich people coming in and all that good stuff. And he was so emotional, man. And, I can understand why he's emotional. You spend all your money to live the way you want, and then someone comes along and disrupts that. So I understand. But he was very emotional about it. I mean, he couldn't talk. He couldn't make a sentence. I mean, he was just, I mean, he was all over the place. I was like, damn, like, man, like, brother, I understand, but make your talk, like, relax, you know? And I mean, it's hard. It's easier for me to say relax because, you know, that's his livelihood. That's his housing being affected, his life being affected. But I don't know. I thought that was a really good story to have, and I think that's very important for me. The reason why I say that is because I've never had to supervise people. Only time I had to do that was when I was a high school teacher, because being a teacher I had to monitor my students, but I never had to look over and do that for a long period of time. I was a teacher for 2 years, a high school teacher for 2 years. So I didn't really do that beyond any of my experiences as an adult. When I was in the military, I didn't have to do that. When I had so many jobs, I wasn't a supervisor or a manager. So I was like, man, that's something I might have to think about. You know, if I were to have a business and I have employees, I would have to make myself clear and give clear instructions so that they follow those. And then if they're not following those rules, fired. You know, I have to think about that. I'm hoping I don't have to be a business person in terms of having businesses. I hope not, because I want to do something different in terms of investing, but we'll see. I don't know how that works out. I don't know. I just want to share that story. All right, so I got a little bit more here. One thing that I highlighted was that they noted that war is expensive. War is expensive. It really is expensive, man. But then it's expensive, but where do they get the money? The people. I would think the people. Tax us, we pay for it. Another part that I highlighted, it says, best of all is to win without direct confrontation. Or as Sun Tzu says, supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. I like that idea. To win without confrontation, without direct confrontation. I like that approach. I don't disagree with that approach. Making war too expensive for the enemy is best. Worst of all possibilities is siege warfare. I think that's an awesome strategy. Like, shit. Let's use Russia and Ukraine. Without President Biden giving them the money, they would have lost that shit, bro. We sending them money. And that's a good example right there. Who's footing the bill giving them money? That sucks, man. That sucks, bro. Now, from my understanding, there was some sneaky stuff happening. We're supposedly sending the money there for their war. But they weren't really getting that money. Allegedly. Allegedly, they were not getting that money, or at least all of it. So if they were supposed to get X amount of dollars, they wasn't getting the full X. Somehow, from allegedly, the money was getting funneled back to the United States. All on the fucking taxpayers' dollar. Making war too expensive for the enemy is best, man. I think that's that. I mean, I think if I understand what was happening, man, or is happening, is that, hey, Russia's playing a different game. You know what I'm saying? Like, making that shit expensive for Ukraine, so they need the money. Anyway, let's see, another part that I highlighted, and we'll end it in just a bit because I'll make this the last page. Oh, I got another little piece here. Another part, it says moral weakness, anger, impatience, cowardice, even over solicitousness of the welfare of one's troops will lead to military weakness. I thought that was important. I was like, yeah. But when they said moral weakness, though, I was like, why'd you have to use the word moral? Like, that word moral, man. But I definitely highlighted this part. To Sun Tzu, the ideal general is also the ideal junzi. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. That's pretty deep, man. If you know the enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. Wow. So if you know yourself and you don't know the enemy, you're going to win, but you're also going to lose. You're going to suffer a defeat. Wow. If you know neither your enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. That's something I was like, damn, man. I'm still learning myself. I'm still learning myself, and I don't know the enemy. I don't know the enemy, man. It sounds crazy when I say that shit, man. I'm still learning myself, man, because there's so much wealth of knowledge that I have not had. Remember, I come from a public school institution.
Trash.
I come from that. Public schools, man. Once again,
Trash.
trash, man. Public schools are trash, man. So I didn't have enough. I didn't have proper education, and then I didn't have a strong family background. Man, I'm from H-Town, South Side, South Park, man. That's not a place where one can develop and grow and know self, especially a man, a male. That's not a place, man. That's not a place where you can grow and become a man and discover who you are and your purpose, or so on and so forth. So here I am, 40 years old, and I'm just getting to a point to where I can branch and learn and experience life. Free agent lifestyle, man. Free agent fucking lifestyle. I guess I can end the stream on that, man. I have my end stream right there. That's what makes this situation that I'm in so complicated. And I'll read that part again, man. If you know neither your enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. And I think that's why I'm stressing at this point in my life in terms of this AI, because we are now in a new era of life, if you will. You know, there was the industrial period, of course, before that, the agricultural and all that. I'm not a historian, but these periods that we studied back in the day, I'm a part of a new period. Remember when they had the internet, when the internet came, boom, oh, man, we got computers? Like, wow, okay. And I didn't think about it then. I was just like, okay, all right, cool. Here's a computer. Oh, I got an email. I just went nilly-willy with it. But now I don't have that same umbrella, that safety net. Because when I learned about computers, and we have floppy disk. We didn't have hard drive, like the big ass 1 terabyte and all that shit. We used to go around with a little floppy disk, about 256 megabytes. And then when I got to college, then they switched it to a little USB drive, a little thumb drive. You had to write your papers and shit. Oh, shit. Okay, cool. Stick it in the computer. Now, I don't have that umbrella. There's no umbrella. Why do I say that? A few years ago, they were telling people, man, learn coding. Coding. This is the future, right? And now this present day, they're letting people with these coding certifications, degrees, and software engineer. They're letting all these motherfuckers go, man. This is new, man. We're walking into a new era. I don't know the official name. All I just know is artificial intelligence, AI. This is all I know. I didn't have a formal education to say, hey, but they did it in a fucking slick ass way. I still got a few more minutes. They did it in a slick ass way. They put it on our phones, the Siri. What's the other ones? There was another one. I forgot another name, but they did it in a slick way to implement this shit in our lives. And they even crept it in movies and stuff. I don't watch movies, but I hear people say, oh man, they put it in movies what we're going to experience. But I didn't have a formal education to walk me through the path and prepare me for it. So that's why I'm like, I don't know myself, of course, but I don't know the enemy. And I don't want to say that AI is the enemy, because the enemy was created by humans. So the enemy just didn't pop out of thin air. The godfather of AI, that guy, and his friends, they created this bullshit. And then now they want to throw the rocks and then hide their fucking hands. Oh, well, I'm afraid of what's to happen. Ooh, yeah, I don't know. Ooh. Like, motherfucker, you created the shit. You and your fucking friends got a lot of fucking money off this shit. I need more answers from y'all, dog. I need more answers from y'all. Because y'all giving us this bullshit, bro. Like, what's happening, man? What's happening right now? So I don't know the enemy right now. I don't know the enemy. And so I'm afraid, and I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to succumb in this battle, man. I want to thrive, man. I'm a part of the coach gang. Shout out to Coach Greg Adams. Shout out to the coach gang. But I want to boss up. I want to level up. I want to level up, man. I do not want to get left behind. And I'm seeing people get left behind. It's happening fast. We're talking about China. China is moving, man. They're moving, bro. They are a superpower and they're growing, man. Our country, I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing, bro? These leaders. We talked about the duty earlier. The duty of these politicians and our president and all of these capitalists, these business owners, they're not thinking about the lower man, bro. They're not thinking about us. So once again, I don't know who the enemy is. Right now, I'm at war and I don't know who my enemy is. I'm not going to say it's AI because I'm thinking I'm going to have to use AI to get me to where I need to be, to the next level, to boss up. I just don't know how. I'm still learning. I'm seeing it, but I got to start trying shit, man. Because I can't depend on the railroad, blue collar work. I can't depend on the old fashioned way of life to succeed, man. That shit is old, bro. That's the old way. When I was driving, I was like, bro, I'm seeing all these land and I'm seeing cows. I see horses. I remember back in the day, you remember they used to show movies with them riding on horses to get from one place to another, and they used to ride all. They used to ride long distances, man. I was in Oregon, the Lewis and Clark expedition. Like, man, these people had what was it? Not the Oregon Trail, the Trail of Tears and all of these things, man. Even like in Texas, they probably still do have these things called trail rides. These people used to ride horse and buggy to these long distances. That's the thing of the past. You don't see people riding around horses no more. You might see it for sporting and rodeo and things of that nature, but you don't really see horse riding as a means of transportation. It's a thing of the past, right? We have automobiles now. When I was in Idaho, I saw a car that what do they call it? The car where you don't need a person. I didn't see it moving, but I saw it. I was like, oh shit! I wanted to see it move. driverless cars and shit. Like, so the way of the past, man, it's in the past, man. So I'm like, man, who is my enemy? The people that's creating these things, they're not thinking of old Monk. They're not saying, oh man, we got to get Monk. We got to get Monk ready, man. They're not saying that shit, man. I don't know, man. I'm going to end the stream there, man. I really appreciate it. I know it covered a lot of stuff, man. I keep saying that I'm going to keep it short and sweet and just talk about a few things, but it's so much to talk about, man. It's so much to talk about. It's so many philosophical ideas and questions, concerns. There's so much wisdom I need to keep moving in this lifetime, man. Without the free agent lifestyle, bruh. Without that philosophy. Without this philosophy right here, man. Without this philosophy right here, bro, I would be in... Man. I wouldn't have made it this far. I would not have made it this far, man. I was stuck. I was stuck in the old way, the old mindset, bro. The old way of doing things. So that's why I really love wisdom. And I want to share as much as I can. I want to seek it out, man. If there's some wisdom that, I need it, bro, for me to make decisions. Because, I could just be driving. I told you the example. I was just driving. I missed my exit. I'm just driving. I don't want to just drive. I want to meet my destinations, my goals. I want to boss up. I want to keep going, man. I would have kept driving and got my ass right to Salt Lake City, man. I would have missed Oregon and Washington State. I would have missed the beautiful experiences that I had. I would have missed that. And I don't want to miss this, man. I don't want to miss my opportunities. I want to boss up. And I know the opportunities are there, man. I got to get to it, man. I have to get to it. Man, I appreciate you for tuning in. I'm going to combine those two streams. This stream, because I think I hit the wrong button and I ended my stream. So I will combine those two. I will do so, man. Once YouTube allows me to download them, and then I'll combine them. Man, I really appreciate you for tuning in. I really appreciate that, man. Hit the like button, man. Send me some comments, man. Holla back, man. You can holler back at your boy. And if you have not done so, go ahead and subscribe, man. That's the only way we can keep. Well, it's not the only way, because I'm gonna keep going regardless. This is my outlet, man. This is the only outlet I have. I'm not in school anymore, so I don't have class to sit here and share ideas and bounce them off each other. I don't have that. This is all I have, man. This is all I have. So I'm going to use this shit to maximize as much as I can. So I'm here, man. I don't have any plans to travel anytime soon. I don't have any plans, but who knows, man. Man, as always, peace, man. I got to have peace of mind for myself. Peace of mind, have peace of mind. It's crazy out here. It's crazy out here, baby. It's crazy. And be kind to yourself out here, man. Be fucking kind to yourself. I'm going to end the stream, all right? As always, peace.
Just let me eat you one time. You gonna sleep for 3 days, my baby. I'm gonna make you cry.
How you gonna show us?
Ay, ay, ay!